Hi everybody, and welcome back in my studio. I'm Sonia and I'm a staff member from Berliner World of Sewing, and I have the honor of presenting you with the October block, our last block. It's really, I'm very excited that we can keep doing this, and I would like to congratulate to all of you who are hanging in there with us, even if it was sometimes not that easy. The October block's name is Sona Momoa, and we only have to do one this month. It's quite a big block. It's 15 inches. It's going to be 15 inches finished, but if you look closer, it's a very simple block. There is nothing new on this block. We have done it all before, so it's just a little bit of repetition. The block is put together with 4 yellow simple squares and in the center a white one. Then we have the crosswalk stripes in these 4 places. We have half square triangles, 6 of the teal and white combination and 6 of orange and white combination. I don't think we have to talk more about the half square triangles. You take 1 square from each color, divide it or mark it diagonally, and then sew a 1/4 inch on each side. Then we cut on the marked line, open it and press it. I like to press my triangles with an open seam. You do whatever feels okay for you or what you're used to do. After that, we cut them back to 3.5 inches. The crosswalk stripes, we take the 3 1.5 inch strips, sew them together, and then sub-cut into 4 pieces. I think they're 3.5 inches wide. I do here press the seam allowance into the darker color. For the 9 patches, we do the same thing with the 3 strips, black, white and black. Sew them together, press this time into the darker color, into the black. And for the center pieces, we make the combination with orange, white and teal and white. The next step, what I would do is I look at the cutting diagrams. The charcoal is the first color in your handout, and you have to look very carefully because the first piece we're going to cut is right at the edge of the printing. So this is kind of very easy. I would cut here first, the 1.5 strip. Actually, first you want to make sure that the edge of the fabric is really straight. And then I would cut the first 1.5 inch strip, cut it back to 14.5 inches, and then cut these 2 13 inch by 1.5 inch strips. So there's nothing complicated. The charcoal, I would again straighten out, make sure that this is straight the edge of the fabric, cut 4 1/4, cut this away, and then sub-cut the rest of your fabric to these 2 pieces. And because we only have 1 block, it's not complicated where the things go. You know exactly that this is in this one big block. With the yellow, this is exactly the same, not complicated. We cut the amount we need, the 3 inches here for the 2 long strip, and then sub-cut here into the 4 3.5 inch squares. Then the orange one, we straighten out the edge of the fabric and then cut the 4 1/4 inch piece off, sub-cut this in 4 in 3 4¼ inch squares, and then cut this little tiny piece out. We made your fabric pieces plenty big that you do not have to worry about that. Now, this is the fabric from your background fabric. If you add up all these pieces, vertical and horizontal, it's not quite a square, and we made this purposely a little bigger at the measurements we recommend to you, because if you have not quite a square and you start cutting from the wrong dimension, then you don't have enough fabric. Also, maybe just as a thought, I don't know how much leftover pieces you have. You might want to go through all your little scrappy things and cut some 4½ or 3 by 1½ inch rectangle, just to clean up a little bit the leftover pieces you have. If you don't feel comfortable with them, by all means just cut your background piece 14½ by 14½. Okay, now let's make the 9 patches together. First, I make sure that on the right side of my strip combination is perpendicular to the seams here between the black and white. And if you have the ruler here, you see also, you can check that the width of your white strip here is 1 inch. And if you have a 1/4 inch seam allowance, that should not be a problem. Then I turn this around, and I have 4 9 patches to make, so I need 8 pieces, 1½ inches. I cut these, all 8, and usually if I have that many, after about the 4th or the 5th time, I turn this around again and check that I'm still perpendiculars. So let me cut all 8 here.
Okay.
Okay, these are our 8 black. Then I take the teal, cut the straight, and here we need 2. And 2 of the orange. That wasn't too bad. All right, now I'm gonna lay this out, how I'm gonna sew them together. Okay. Okay, now we are ready to sew all our 9 patches together. I grab 2, a black and white, and here I have an orange and white one. I put the 2 of them right side on right side together. You can see here that this seam allowance goes from left to right, the way my sewing foot would sew. If you pick them up and it's the opposite side here, that the seam allowance goes from right to left, then do what I just did. Just turn them around, because it's much easier to sew when the seam allowance goes with the foot. So I switch this around again, so I have my seam allowance from left to right. I put the two of them together and move them with my finger as close as I can. You can really feel it. And they butt each other. You can clearly see how there's not a gap between. I hold this tight together and I pin this parallel to the seam down, match the corner here, do the same on this side, have a little peek, looks good to me, and pin it down here also, and do the corner again. When you look at it, and one of the center pieces should have a little gap here, just stretch them out, hold on, and put a pin in the middle. It's important that it matches here, not that this is absolutely perfect, because you can stretch it. Make ready all four of them, and then we go to the sewing machine and sew them factory style. So I have my 4 pieces pinned ready, 2 pieces each pinned together. So let's sew. Right, we just one after the other move them and do them factory style. I'm sorry that's a little boring for you to watch, but just what it is. Okay, now we cut them apart and then take them to the ironing board. Okay, now I'm gonna press these seams open. I know people put them on one side and then do this swirly thing, around thing with the seam, and I could never manage that, so it's easier for me just to press the seam open. I also can see then how my corners here match. So if it's really bad, I take them back and open them up, but usually it works really quite well. Press all these open. Okay, then I take another one of these pieces and put this now in the same way onto here and sew it. And see, if I put this here on the top, how my seam allowance here goes in the wrong side, so I just switch this around. That's the way I like it. I pin it and sew all 4 of them. Okay. So we're almost done with our 9 patches. This is the last one. If we do this factory style method, it really goes fast. Okay. Cut them apart. Go to the ironing board and press them open and see how beautiful they are. Okay, last seams to press open. They actually look kind of pretty here from the back side. You can see here we pressed both sides into the dark, and then these we pressed open. Okay. Okay, then of course the ultimate test. Let me put this on here. I think that's pretty, it's not perfect, but pretty good. Now we did all the pieces we need to put our block together. So let's go to the wall again. So here we're back to our block. We have all the 9 patches, all the half square triangles, my zebra blocks here, and the full squares. In the instructions, she recommends that we make rows. I did this here. I personally like to make squares and put this as a square and this as a square and put this between, because it keeps the shape of your square better. But if you feel uncomfortable not doing something what is not in the instructions, I can understand that. The reason why I felt okay doing this, if you look here, there are really at the 9 patches, other than just here, no seams who have to line up. So it gave me the freedom to work this with a square. However you do it, put it together and enjoy your block. And we will see each other again in November, where we try to put all this together to a beautiful quilt. I hope you had fun and have a nice afternoon. Bye-bye.